Aha. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Now it's working. Look at that.
It's working finally.
Technology.
I'm so glad. Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah, thank God for
I'm
that,
pleased
mate.
we could actually make it happen. Partly
Yeah,
because I feel bad that I've continually been changing it this week.
that's
I'm like,
fine.
oh
Don't
no,
worry
sorry, I
about
couldn't
it.
do then. Sorry, I can't do then. I'm like, for God's sake, I just want it to
Yeah.
happen. Oh, we're there.
So
Marvellous.
how are you?
Warm, because London is ever so warm at the moment. But
Yeah.
otherwise, generally good. Very good.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good too. I'm had a bit of a blowout in my therapy session today, so that left me a bit
Ooh.
shell shocked. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a bit too crazy, to be honest. Yeah, but yeah, it was fun though. In retrospect.
Yeah, it's always that thing of you can look back on it afterwards. You can realise sort of that, okay, it didn't feel good at the time, but now looking back, it does.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how it went. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
What was the? So you've got muscle injuries in your leg. What's
Yeah,
happened?
well, quite a crazy thing, really. It was sports day at school a few weeks ago, and all the kids were like, "Come on, sir, you've got to do it. Come on, Mr. Tomlin, you've got to do the run." I was like, "Okay, solid. Yeah, I'll go for it. I'll do the teacher run." So we did the race, and that was a lot of fun. And afterwards, I got heat stroke. And I was like, I don't feel great.
Oh my
legs,
God.
yeah, and my legs ached a bit, but nothing severe. And then Saturday, I was like, I'm limping a bit, but I'll be fine. Sunday, I spent 3 hours on the floor. Couldn't move because I just had complete agony. Like every time I tried to move, either my leg caved in, or my lower back caved in, or my other leg caved in. And I was like, okay, this is a bit more major. And I then went, okay, well, what do we do? So I went to the hospital, and I was prescribed a muscle relaxant that they usually give to people with motor neurones disease or sort of quite a severe muscle injury. And he said, take a week off work and relax. So I did just that. And it still just hasn't improved. So I've had some blood tests about it. It seems like low potassium. It's improved in that I can move better and I can walk better. Like it's not constantly spasming, but I'm definitely not normal and healed, particularly for my age. So
that sounds quite major. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry.
Nah, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah. It's quite amazing, really, because you learn what the human body does and how brilliant it is when it goes wrong. Because now I'm sitting there going, isn't it amazing how like you can just balance and stand on these two little bits of bone because all the muscles are working perfectly. Really quite amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's it's fascinating.
No, it's really quite something. But yeah, so it's a learning curve, and on top of that, I've had 3 lots of blood taken, and I'm healing up from one of them. That was 2 weeks ago. You can see the devastation. I think that was from I must have hit a muscle on the way out taking the blood. But
so it's bruising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I hope it's not hurting you. At least, like, I hope you're not having muscle spasms in your arms.
No, luckily. It's yeah. But then that's that. Some people have much bigger burdens, much bigger difficulties. So
that's true.
I'm happy with this.
That is true. It's daunting thinking about it, to be honest. No,
it is.
Or is it?
It is. It was a bit. There was a period of time where I was thinking, Christ, what if it doesn't recover at all, and what if I'm stuck in this sort of hobbling position? I was walking around with crutches, and I had 80-year-olds overtaking me, and I thought, God, is this going to be the rest of my life?
I hope it's not that.
No. Yeah, I think it'll be okay. I think I'm exaggerating it somewhat.
You'll be okay. You'll be okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Oh,
so.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So, do you have a?
Yeah.
Did you have a thing or an idea?
No. The recording. I mean, the recording usually begins on the studio as soon as both the people enter the studio. So. Yeah, I'm in fact consciously trying to move away from that, I don't want it to be too, like we're on a podcast, we've got to talk about something, we've got to have a structured conversation, we have to talk about, get into it like professionally. No, I'd rather just have it be candid, really.
But much more natural.
Yeah, so when does term restart for you?
I think it's second week of September. I think is when the kids come in. So I've got a nice break until then.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, over summer, it's the time where you sort of collect other ideas and work on stuff. I'm I get emails to do with my extra maths commitments.
Yeah,
because I do a lot of side tutoring stuff, and so when you don't have the kids there, of course, you spend your time thinking, well, what could we do? How can we make it better? How can we improve things?
And how's that going?
Well, that's a lot of fun. That's been brilliant recently. So I'm very fortunate to be the scheme lead for a program that we're running in South London, which is it's been running years. I don't know how long. I think maybe 15, 20 years. Which basically Southwark Council provides the local area this extra maths support lessons, which for strong gifted students, extra English lessons for people that need a bit of assistance, and some fun science lessons. And it's all aimed at year 5 students who might need a bit of extra help or want a bit of extra support. And so I'm helping run the maths side of things, and it's very exciting. Because it's been going all that time, I'm now sort of been asked to come in and help organise some of the curriculum and organise it into this set structured thing. So it's been taking it from what they've got, which is it's been great looking at the current resources. They've got stuff on rounding, stuff on like space and the scale of numbers, and taking that and then building it into finding things that are fun and interesting, but not necessarily really challenging. Because I don't know the ability of the kids yet. I don't know, are they really sort of highly able and capable of accessing really tough stuff, or are they not, and they just want to learn fun maths?
No, I think my take on this is that if you cover the basics in a way that is so palatable, and it's almost like they're craving for it, like if you can present it in a way in which the children are craving for it, they usually learn the advanced stuff just by themselves. Like once you've got that hurdle up, off the course, I think they just sort of self-stabilize in some senses.
It's as long as you've got that main basic, then it all flows from there. And often, like with a lot of these new maths topics that you could introduce, they're really straightforward. There's not an awful lot in the real bare bones of it. Even if you go for a technical topic like quantum theory, you can technically show that to someone even without much of a heavy maths background. You don't need to go into vector fields. You don't need to go into all the matrices and the bra and keps and all those things. You can just simplify it to we know there are two things about a particle. Momentum, it's how fast it goes to some description and where it is. And then we know one, we don't know the other, and how this links. And then give an analogy about driving a car on a motorway. How at any one time you know the exact position, but you wouldn't know how fast it's going because you've stopped it. But or vice versa. And suddenly now a load of kids that are 10, 11 are able to go, oh, okay. And what? Quant means small. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it's study of small things. And you've learned that whole sort of topic without actually delving much into it.
I mean, I think the initial sort of thing is to do the analogies and sort of have them understand it in terms that they would understand it, and sort of gradually changing their perception. Like, okay, maybe we weren't completely on spot with that previous analogy, but maybe this one would make it clearer because now you can understand this one. That's fascinating.
Well, but at the end of the day, I feel like teaching, like using analogies to teach or to explain stuff to someone, is probably going to be the simplest way, because you're basically going, no, that stuff you already know. well, let's just reword a few things and rename it.
Yeah.
Same stuff, same idea, just reworded. There's some different names on these files. That's that. Oh, what? This is basically just that with that's that and that's that. Yeah. Oh, I know it. And because you're not really learning a new thing, you're resubstituting knowledge that they've already got.
Yeah.
And then from there you edit. I think it's the same way as like how we use AI a lot of these days, or at least how I use it.
Do tell me.
Well, I think it's brilliant for prototyping messages and letters and stuff like that. Like I don't want it to write everything I'm going to do, but for it to start with a blank page is horrendous. You're looking at that blank page, there's nothing happening. But if you put like AI, give me a brief overview, like describe this letter. I want to write a letter to parents that needs to summarize the week, do this, this, and this. Brilliant, boff. It does it in 30 seconds. From there, you just tweak and edit, and done. You've got basically a fully written thing, but you've taken that main structure and copied it across. Same as teaching by analogy, I think, to some degree.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's like it's the same thing. You're updating the model. It's like ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, Claude. It gives you like a basic version of what you asked for, and then you sort of, tweak the minor details, and then sort of drill in the details and fill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Which is where like this. Do you know much of the Game of Life? This is like John Conway's Game of Life.
No, please tell me.
Oh, marvelous. Well, there was this great mathematician years ago, John Conway, who did an awful lot of work with computers, came up with a pen and paper game, and he did many of them, but this was one of the ones that really hit off. Where imagine you've got a grid of just a square grid, and you can light up different squares, and they light up and they don't light up. It's that simple, really. And then you just put some rules to it. You go, well, if I've only got one lit up square on its own, we will say that it dies by solitude or dies by just being on its own, by loneliness. If one lit up cell has 4 or more neighbors that are lit up, then we'll say it dies by overpopulation because there's too many people around it. And of course, every cell can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cells. So there are 8 cells around everything. So if it's got 4 or more, dies by overpopulation. 1 or less, then loneliness. Yeah. And if it's got 2 or 3, it survives. Fine. And with those simple rules, you go from what looks at first like this just really simple, just things lighting up and unlighting. But then suddenly you discover structures that match what happens in real life, and you get these really interesting details and this really, really technical stuff that comes from the most basic foundations in that same way. Like, can I, if I share my screen, will that share this here? Let's try this. There we go. I'll be able to show you then. There we go. Okay, here. So this is basically it. So you start here. If we start with like a simple block of 3, it's a really easy thing to start problem solving and thinking with, because you go, okay, well, it's got this top left square has 1, 2 neighbors, so it'll stay alive. This has 2 neighbors, so it'll stay alive, and this has 2 neighbors, so it'll stay alive. So they'll all live. And then this square here that's not lit up has 1, 2, 3 neighbors, and so it will come to life. And then nothing else will happen. And if we test that, then, well, there we go. That comes to life. And now, because each of them has 3 neighbors, none will die by overcrowding and none will die by loneliness. And so for the rest of time, it stays like that. It
stays there.
As well. Yeah. Exactly. Like a stable life form. But then, let's say over here, we add some random group life. Well, each of these has only one neighbor. All these edge pieces have only one neighbor, so they'll all die. But this middle one has 3 neighbors, so that'll stay alive. And then these maybe will come to life. So I think we're going to get a 3 on our next go.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. And we get a 3. And then that becomes a 4. and then you go and so on, so on, so on. But let's, like, if you go really wacky and you put something in like this, now you can see what happens is that now everything's evolving bit by bit.
Okay.
In these really weird, quite fascinating life that then just dies out. And I find it just the most fascinating game because it's technically not a game. Oh, well, hey, we're zooming funny there. It's technically not a game. It's just watching these cells sort of like explore over life and see what happens to them. And then there's something like this, which John called a glider, because it's a life form that is 4 periodic. So basically over 4 steps of discrete life, it comes back to the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, 4, it looks the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, looks the same. Except it's moved.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, it's moved. So this is known as a glider. Because if I just start it, you can watch it slowly work its way across the screen.
Yeah.
And this all looks quite fun and brilliant. But if you sort of look through their description here, there are so many incredible life forms that they've discovered in this that all do different things. I don't know is there pi in here? So there's engines that have been designed. I'll stop sharing. I'll come back to you. But there's computers that have been designed within this. It's provable to show that you can build a computer using just this simple game.
Wow.
Because all you need to build a computer is an AND gate. So if I put something in as yes, it comes out as no. If I put something in as no, it comes out as yes.
Yeah.
And using these gliders, I can prove that it's possible to do that. And hence I can build a computer. And hence I can do anything within these little just on, off. Which at the end of the day, isn't that just what electrons are? Spin up, spin down, spin up, spin down.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the most fascinating thing. And yet, arguably, anyone could grasp that. And anyone could just play. Have a go at playing with the colours and the lights. And then suddenly you get this whole sort of story that plays out.
Yeah, that is quite fascinating. I never thought that you could extract a computer just out of the dynamics of like an evolutionary model of a grid. I mean that's really interesting. With simple rules as well.
Well, it's also possible to show that you can get the game to self-replicate. So it can take, you can play the game of life within the game of life.
Oh, okay. How do you do that?
With lots and lots and lots of cells. There is a degree of things that need to be lit up and created, such that basically you create a glider gun, which is a thing that creates gliders, and it shoots 2 gliders at each other. That when they collide, it sends a side glider off into space. Then these glider guns interact again, shoots another glider off, glider guns interact, and you get another glider. And it repeats so that you've now got this stream of gliders. Now with that, you can interact other systems. So basically, you start the domino effect, you hit one thing, and now suddenly the whole chain happens.
Yeah.
You click your fingers and the Big Bang happens. It really does bring about into question the whole sort of simulation theory side of things.
Okay. Yes.
But yeah, it's a marvelous piece of technology, and it's something that I'm looking forward to putting in for this Saturday math thing, because the 10-year-old kids might not grasp the full size of what you can get with this, and maybe they won't be able to fully appreciate how it has its knock-on effects of making you believe in God, but it does open the mind to just playing and the idea of exploring the maths.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Wow, I never thought of it that way. I mean, I've only seen like very rudimentary versions of a game like this. They're usually just explained as toy models in most lectures. But seeing that to be something that kids could really play with and interact with, I think that's great.
Yeah, it reminds me of the game Lights Out. Are you aware of Lights Out?
No, not really.
I always search for Lights Out, and I always get the horror film first. Lights Out math game. Let's find it. There it is. More or less, it's imagine you've got a grid, and if you tap on a square, it lights up, and so does the square above and below it, and left and right. And so they either all light up or all don't light up. And the game is basically, can you either light up all the squares or not light up all the squares? So here we've got to try and delight all the board. So if I press this middle one there, they all come on and off together. And once again, quite a simple game. And you just press these and then you get these patterns. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm horrendous at it. Because I know that if I press this, I get all 5 of those come on. But the logic and thinking in order to think, well, how would I get rid of these, is quite tough on a 5x5 board. So personally, I would rather play this on a 3x3 board, where it's a bit simpler to think about. But from there, you can get the whole idea of group theory. You can get all properties of commutative groups and standard group theory and teach the main idea of that with just this really simple game of lighting up some squares. Which, it's really quite marvelous what's possible with just simple games like that.
Oh yeah, I never paid attention in group theory, so I'm not not really like I don't really have anything to say to that. But yeah, I mean I can see how that works though. Marvelous, and so I think I think games usually do have like an impact on memory as well, because then you can sort of go back and retrieve that from like, when I was like 10 years old, I came across this game and it still reminds me of the way that the logic actually works. You've got this, you've got this grid and you can sort of use lattice theory and group theory and set theory and whatnot to sort of understand what's going on and to be able to visualize that in your mind. It's almost like an indispensable tool of sorts. So you're not just left in the wake of, oh my god, something catastrophic has happened in the equation and I can't figure out what it is, but you've got something to refer to, and that's really great.
Well, also I think it's, at the end of the day, a lot of maths is taking the world and breaking it down into these tools that we can then use to solve problems. And playing it as a game teaches you that sometimes the best way to solve a problem is just to muck about with it, to test things and see what happens if I put in this. Oh, that, okay. Oh, not what I wanted. What happens if I do this? Oh, that, okay. What happens? Because at the end of the day, that's how we humans are built. We learn what lions do because we ran out there and attacked them enough until we realised, okay, sharp claws, sharp teeth, avoid. Like, very base
That's very
level.
true. Yeah. It's like a game is to experiment as as for as long as you can. You then recognize the patterns going on, and it's like, okay, you've got the patterns down, and now you can apply them in real life. Which is something I really find it's something that I have found to be something that's missing, in the sense that the application bit. I think the more games that you play as a child, the more easily you find the applications, because you've seen it being applied in real life, and you sort of learn from that instinct rather than going at it in a completely novel fashion, and you're just sort of blindsided by it otherwise. And I think it gives like a really solid reference for the kids to sort of grow up with.
I think the clearest example of that being the case is the sheer amount of people that play chess when they're younger and become really good at it, who then go on to discover things or just be generally very intelligent and very capable problem solvers. But also the fact that AI, as we know it, like artificial general intelligence, literally came off the back of Deep Blue, AlphaGo, and StarCraft. The fact that we designed 3 models which were able to beat games, and that's how we first learned about AI, and that's how we first did all of our thinking, that it proves to me that games have this incredible capability of opening up massive cans of worms.
Yeah. It's logic applied in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
It's like so. I had a theory. So in India, where I did my undergrad, you have to go through this really tough examination for your undergrad admissions, and so you get like these ranks, like people get ranked, and and I was just hypothesizing that a lot of people would get like these insane scores on these exams, and I was like, yeah, if you did that, was there a correlation between you solving a lot of puzzles when you were younger and with your performance on this test? And a lot of them, I mean, it's because a lot of them did seem interested in puzzles and gaming and things which just require logic applied to something in front of you. And so to me as well, I think it's quite evident that the more you sort of indulge yourself in things that you can interact with and see that logic develop in front of you, the more proficient you're going to be at being able to handle all of those concepts in your mind.
Yeah. And another sort of example of that, if we think back to the day we met at that pub quiz, that G Research pub quiz, I think in order to solve good quant interview questions, or in order to do Fermi questions, you need experience of doing things like that. The more quant interview questions you do, the easier you'll find it if you're given one that you've never done.
Yeah.
You have to have this experience and this exploration. Because Fermi questions can be quite incredibly taxing, because particularly given, if you think about it, if you've never seen a Fermi question before, you're going to be thrown completely about what's involved and how to approach it in terms of, I need to make an estimate of that, and an estimate of that, and an estimate of that. Because you'd immediately read it and go, well, I don't know how long it takes to sail from New York to New Delhi. I don't know how long it takes. If you immediately try to go to logic and reason, you don't really get anywhere. Instead, you have to go abstract and then attack it through a guided problem solving.
Yeah, it's the same thing as to retrieving a reference that you know, and then you're like, okay, London to Paris takes this long, and then you can take a plane from Paris to New Delhi, and basically, I mean, the exact specification isn't all that important, but you're basically sort of trying to formulate. You take the next step, and then the next step, and then you sort of interact with your own formulation in a way that sort of gives you some kind of an estimate, and then you play around with it so that you develop more and more accurate formulations that can then match the answer that you're looking for. It
is all about just building this network. So I've been reading The Infinity Machine by Sebastian Mallaby recently, which is written all about Demis Hassabis and Google DeepMind or DeepMind and the setting up of all of that and all of his work. And it's been really quite fascinating learning about how they've done it by looking at other things they've seen recently. Other like David Silver has had experience with reinforcement learning as a method to do AI and a method to do programming. And on its own, that was something that didn't really work. Reinforcement learning didn't do much. But then they had a model of AlphaGo that they created, was good at solving about 86% of chess games, of Go games. It won 86% of the time. But because David Silver's had this background, this extra knowledge of reinforcement learning, he said that, well, how about we throw this into our current model for AlphaGo? They threw it in, they upgraded it. It went from 86% win rate to 99% win rate.
Wow.
Which is quite marvelous of how he's using that background knowledge. But then they stretched it further and they thought, well, we made the best model we made some of our best models of AlphaGo by not putting in any human information. We put in, I'm pretty sure that Yeah. We're in not making any human additions, so in letting it just run itself, letting it just work, and letting it explore the game, then play games against itself, and then analyze what it thought were good moves and what it thought were bad moves, and then figuring it out bit by bit. And it was brilliant, and it worked great for Go. That was fine. But then they tried it on a great game called StarCraft. And while I've not played StarCraft, I know that the main difference is that Go has 319 moves from after the first Go. So it's fairly limited. Whereas StarCraft has 10 to the 19, 10 to the 20 possible moves. It's significantly more.
Yeah.
So when they tried creating a StarCraft model without any of this base understanding, without any of this this background knowledge, it was useless. It won, I think, about 5% of games. It would just muck about in the corner. It would do random things. Every so often it would have a good idea, then it would die off. And what they realized was that while that's what humans do, we walk into a situation and then we just have a go from nothing. We know nothing. We as humans have all of our basic background. We have what we learned as we grew up. We have our last experiences. We have our words. We have our language. We have all of this background knowledge that we walk into the scenario with. So while the AI, it knows nothing about StarCraft, it doesn't know anything about anything. So whereas we as humans, we don't know anything about StarCraft, but we still got our background, our knowledge. And they realized that, of course, that's a massive thing that we have that you need to build in if you're going to let something like try and create an AI that's capable of doing intelligence and doing what humans can do, is you need to add in this background, the background knowledge, we'll call it, which is exactly what you were saying there, of that you've got these things to fall back on, that I know how long it takes me to get from Paris to Delhi. I know how long it takes me to get from here to here. And so these little bits of nuggets of information can be applied forward.
Yeah. The one thing that I was thinking about was, so I was playing tennis one day I was just hitting it at like a false wall, and it would just throw it back to me, of course. And what I realized was I was trying to adjust my grip on the tennis racket, and I got a really bad tennis elbow because I wasn't holding it the right way. And that was something that sort of, I mean, I don't exactly have a conclusion here. I'm just sort of talking out loud with respect to what I felt. It's essentially reinforcement learning, isn't it? You feel the punishment and the rewards for when the grip is handled the right way. You can just swing it and the ball just goes through. But when you're not holding it the right way, you've got your senses telling you something, telling you information. So it's both the lack of like a corpus of knowledge that you already have, that you talked about, and it's also the senses that you're using. I think AI in today's day and age doesn't have like a sense through which it can sort of interact with what it's being faced with. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there's no extra detail that's sort of a common sense check, I'll call it.
Like something to orient around.
I had I think, like, you always get that with students, don't you? If they put an answer in an exam and it's miles off, it doesn't necessarily have a bearing that's the same as what it should do. They don't think about the common sense of does this answer actually sort of fit? And I had a student who tried to convert, I think it was 100 meters into must have been into kilometers. So 100 meters into kilometers. And instead of course going down to 0.1, I think the lack of knowledge of the common sense, what answer would make sense here, instead went from 100 meters to, if I remember correctly, it was 10 billion kilometers.
Wow. Okay.
And of course, you're going, well, 100 meters, is that equal to 10 billion kilometers? How quick, it would take Usain Bolt, 10 seconds to do 10 billion kilometers? And so there's obviously that common sense that, as you say, it's the senses. It's does AI have that built-in thing to go, hang on, that sounds ridiculous? Because as a child, you're building that, you're learning it, and you can see it coming in. You can see when kids get that spark that goes, I will check, I will think about it. Does my answer make sense? And that is sort of that example.
Yeah. So one of the things that has really sort of helped me personally make sense of this sense is critical thinking. Like if you just keep asking questions that the child is inherently interested in, they'll probably figure out a deeper sort of relationship with how to estimate things and how to sort of go around figuring out about things, as opposed to just sort of letting them interact with whatever it is that their environment is sort of forcing them to interact with. Does that sort of make sense? I mean, their own sorts of curiosity and sort of nurturing that sense of curiosity and wonder, and that sort of feeds into the mechanism of okay, them going about sort of figuring out, okay, this is how they make sense, and sort of triggering a reinforcement learning in themselves, if that makes sense.
Well, I think part of it is at the end of the day, when you turn up in life, you're shown 1,000 shiny things.
Yeah.
And you've got to now select which shiny things you should investigate and look at, which are worth looking at, which aren't. And so we do that based on the stories that we're told, based on the stories that our parents have told us, our friends have told us, our family, who've said, oh, that I did this and I got this reward. Or I did this and I felt this way. And you go, oh, okay, so roller coaster means happy. Okay, I'll build that together. Whereas you say zoo means unhappy or could be dangerous. Okay. And then you build that of going, well, I know I'm an hour from the roller coaster park and I'm 2 hours from the zoo, so I'll go for the roller coaster. And it's building that, yes, there is that possible scope of everything, but here are some things that we recommend. Here's our recommended spots, and nurturing that curiosity in that way. I think you've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think you said something that I hadn't really sort of thought about, but now it's coming back to me is how associative our memory is, like how associative the retrieval is. Like it just goes on. Oh, okay. I had that experience with the popcorn and the roller coaster at Hyde Park that night, and I discovered something about something, and I'm suddenly reminded about that. Yeah. So it's just it keeps going on, and it doesn't, I wouldn't say loops, but it just one thing connects to the other and to the other and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Which is why things like memory palaces work so well.
Yeah.
Because you're taking a very physical thing, which might be your experience of a place, the smells that were there, the sounds, what you can see, and then you're combining it with this thing that you're trying to remember. And all of a sudden, you've got this perfect storm to remember everything by. I think one of the easiest ways that I've understood that is that when I was in Manchester a few weeks ago, I was listening to this audiobook, and it was only an hour or two. It was a short story, and I did it from my walk from my girlfriend's house all the way round down to the supermarket, round the supermarket, and then back. And then, and I enjoyed it. It was fine, all great. Then this weekend, I re-listened to it, but I was showing my parents the audiobook. And as I was listening to it, not only could I remember the things he was going to say fairly clearly, but on top of that, I could remember exactly where I was standing at every single point, or where I was walking, or what had happened around me as I did the thing. I remember that he said a line about the British and how they are. And I was walking past the carrots and the Swedes. And then I remember going around the corner and there was all the sauces. And every single detail of that shopping visit, even though I've done it thousands of times, is ingrained in my brain because of that. And I can remember the voice at the same time, and it combined it into one full memory instead of just, I popped to the shops, I had a look. Which is so strange that you get that. But it is how memory works.
Yeah. It's like it's storing everything associatively. It's taking in all the senses. It's like taking what you're hearing, what you're smelling, and then sometimes, I'd be listening through a song, and I was like, oh yeah, this reminds me of the rather sultry, garlicky sort of taste that I had when I was eating this particular food.
Yeah,
and I was like, that's it's quite fascinating that way how it works.
It's really fascinating when a memory creates a subconscious emotion or a feeling. You don't register it, but you'll just listen to a song and you're like, I feel really hungry. I don't know why, but I suddenly feel hungry. And it's not even registered in your brain that that's why, or that's the thing. And that it really shows how deeply ingrained this is within us, that our body is naturally like the old survival style of we would see a thing or hear a thing and instantly tense or freeze or get ready to run. It's that same thing, but now put to our everyday environment. It's fascinating. Like I had stress induced by a smell that I didn't clock. I didn't fully clock at the time. So when I was doing exams in London, of course, when you study at London University, as you'll know, the Excel Centre becomes the place of all your exams. And so 3 years of doing exams at the Excel Centre, it becomes a very stressful place because you've done 6 weeks worth of exams there over these 3 years. And so I went back the following year to a photography exhibition that was there. And I stepped in and breathed in, and suddenly I was like, oh, God, I feel stressed. Oh, my heart's going. I'm like, God, just because of the smell, because something about it that I'd never noticed before. There wasn't a smell per se, but it's just the building's got this aroma that naturally is just ingrained within me of panic and stress and exams.
Yeah, that is so relatable. That is so very relatable. I mean, it's just some things just give you this. They trigger your limbic system, right? Like the lizard brain, and your system just goes into like the trained mode, like the mode that was the default, or rather the dominant mode that you were in it, like in that particular scenario, the place or the smell. And it just sort of then stays stuck, and it's so hard to sort of come out of that. It's like you physically have to leave the place in order for your nerves to sort of just calm down. It's quite. It's quite.
Well, it's the same as conditioning, really. Sorry, I cut you off there, but
no. Don't worry about it. It is conditioning, It is conditioning, and it's so. And there's something I've been working on in therapy as well, to sort of, not let the body be activated to go into that mode, and to sort of, consciously bring it back from its learned response. It's
which
quite
is kind of about building this awareness, building this, becoming more observational. So being able to go, hang on, I feel this way, and then attacking that. And once again, it goes back to the critical thinking. You are naturally faced with this problem. I feel stressed. I feel happy. I feel hungry. I feel whatever. And go, why? What about it is it? And it is at the end of the day the same problem and the same critical thinking you need to do to be aware of your situation and then sort of solve it from there.
Yeah, I agree. I think most stress problems can be solved using this method. To a great degree and to a great extent.
Yeah. Well, when I was going through therapy for sort of a talking therapy for my ADHD, we were often discussing it every week. Of it's the main useful technique is to stop, and just whenever you're feeling a massive emotion, stop and think and identify it, put a name to it, and then think, well, what can I do to change it or not change it? How does this make me feel? How can I impact it? And then what do I feel now? And it is about that stop. that taking a pause and then assessing your situation. Because you can even drill that down to exam questions and back to maths or back to engineering or back to whatever. Faced with a problem, even if it's at school, how do I tackle it? Well, stop, think, create a game plan. And then from there, suddenly your life will be so much easier. Yeah. You don't just rush into it headlong. You make sure that if I'm writing something on the paper, I probably should know why I'm writing it. What is my aim?
Yeah, so it's just sort of developing that sort of self-awareness, sort of detached from the emotion that you find yourself immersed in.
Yeah, yeah, and it's also what the difference between playing a game for learning versus playing a game for fun is, I guess. One is I'm going to do things on this game, and I want to answer questions. So I'm going to see what happens if I do this, what happens if I do this. But the key is I've started with the question, what happens if? And then I continue. Whereas if I was just playing, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And I've not learned or used it for a reason. I'm just playing to build the natural goal of having a go versus playing to really master the game.
Yeah. So I've actually found it quite hard. I mean, I hope it's not getting too personal. You can just skip the question if it's getting too personal.
No worries.
But how have you been able to just sort of stop and sort of become sort of meta aware of what's going on? Because I usually find it to be quite tough during difficult emotions and difficult feelings.
It is. I think it always is, to be honest. Because there's obviously a limit to how much you can stop and not react without coming across as cold and heartless. I think there's a natural part of us as humans which wants an emotional reaction, and there should be. Like there always should be some kind of emotional reaction. I think there is just. I find it in the way of either physically forcing yourself to take either a before you continue or some form of like mental count or some form of mental motto or mental thing, as sort of crazy as it sounds, because it happens. I think the easiest way to relate to it is, of course, as a teacher, there are many situations that I've ended up in or can be in where you're tested at a point where you might have students shouting out, student doing something, student doing this. And of course, the natural human instinct is to go, guys, come on, just shut up. Let's stop working. Let's get on with it. What are you doing? Why are you messing around? But the minute you do that, you lose them. Yeah. You're never getting their focus back. You're never bringing it back on track. They see that you don't have it under control. So instead, you've got to sort of go, okay, hang on. Let's think about this. Why are they acting like that? Why are they acting like that? What is the reason? And so in terms of a classroom, that often comes to, if you plan ahead, then if you plan for all of them to be busy, you plan for them to not have time to just sit there and idle, then you kill off half the issue before it's begun. But of course, in a personal situation, if you're thrown with something where you've now got this emotional reaction that you're immediately hit with, it can be even harder because there is no planning for an emotional situation that suddenly hits you. You've just got to deal with it. Personally, I always go down a slightly vulnerable route. I find that you get the best natural reactions and the best honesty out of being slightly vulnerable. If you put yourself slightly on the line, and instead of immediately going into something in this sort of forceful, aggressive nature that might butt heads with someone, instead of if you slightly accept that maybe I am in the wrong, maybe it's me, maybe I've misunderstood, then one, it sort of puts people on the back foot because they are expecting you to butt heads with them. So the minute you go, okay, yeah, maybe it is me, it's like, oh, okay, he's not done what I wanted. Don't know how to deal with that, which is quite nice because suddenly you're in control, even though you've surrendered control.
Yeah.
But also it gives you time to go, well, if it is me, what are the things I've done? Well, I've done this. Could that? Well, I suppose. But if they did that, no, actually, no, I don't think it is me. I'm still going to say maybe it is, but I don't think it is because I've analysed each detail and I've got to the point of going, nah, I think I'm safe in the knowledge it's not me. We'll hear their side first. And then we go, oh, no, I was right. Yeah. And then from there, you've bought yourself that time and effort. Because if you immediately just bounce back with stuff, they will then just do the same. And then you've got no time or space and you're immediately fighting it. That's always been my personal approach, but it's something that you're continually learning, you're continually growing and understanding how best to do it with all these things. How do you find it? Well,
I don't know. I mean, for me, the knee-jerk reaction is to sort of intellectualize it and sort of, jump straight into analysis. My trouble is that it gets too analytical, too technical very soon instead of just feeling what's there, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just feeling, okay, this is, there's been some whatever incident or thing that has triggered or stimulated me. And I think what I'm consciously trying to develop is to just stay with the experience rather than jumping straight into solving the feelings that I'm getting, that I'm having. So that's been something that I've been struggling with, I'd say. But yeah.
I think there's something quite interesting of how obviously everyone has, I want to say this challenge, but not this exact challenge. Everyone has a similar challenge. It's just to what degree it's either side. Because I feel like most people will either have an issue where they're too emotional and they get too stuck into the emotion and the feeling that you're saying you want to savor more of before going to the analytical side. And they struggle to get into that analytical, let's actually solve this, instead of, I feel sad. No, I feel sad. No, I'm angry at you. No, I'm angry at you. And you just have this battle of emotions. Whereas we have the opposite, which is, how do you feel enough emotion to say, okay, look, I get it. I'm annoyed because of this and this, and you're upset because of this and this, without just going, look, let's be honest, I came up with a better solution. Clearly, we should have just got in that car. I know it's upset you, but clearly we should have just got in the car. It would have been easier. And of course, there are some people that's, I think, where you often get difficulties in relationships or in friendships, where you have this disconnect, where some people are incredibly sort of emotional and have that as their stronghold, and other people that are incredibly analytical. And it's like these two keys that they do not fit together. There's this sort of weird connect, but it's like, yeah, there's some matchup, but not fully. Whereas when you get this natural, when you get someone that's got a good balance of this 50-50 of analytic versus emotional, you get this nice matchup. Because, of course, if you're both emotional, you're just going to butt. And if you're both analytical, it's going to be really cold and not really work either. So you need this nice balance that merges enough. Maybe not 100%, but probably about 75%.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, coming back to the analogies thing, I noticed that using the hands to describe that, it's so intuitive when you show that these don't work or that this doesn't work. Clearly, this isn't balanced.
Yeah.
Clearly, this is really meshed but a bit too tight. Clearly, this sort of works. You naturally understand that this works, but this doesn't, and that this might be too much, and that this it's fascinating how natural that is in the brain, even though it's a very small detail.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like with the hand analogy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's like you're sort of looking at articulated sort of hands, and you're sort of trying to fit them in like a symmetrical way. I mean, both the things are symmetrical, right? Like they've got a mirror symmetry, and you've got you're sort of trying to explain the concept using how they can mesh well together, and like this is like just enmeshed with each other. This is like not there at all. It's like it's just barely there. Whereas this is just like enough to give both the hands enough freedom to be articulate, whilst also maintaining some kind of attraction between them. So I get that exactly. Yeah,
and it's good. Such a natural thing that I feel like everyone would understand that. I feel like that would, to some degree, that crosses language. I remember seeing a brilliant magic performance by a phenomenal magician called the name of Gaby Pereras, who was a Spanish magician. And a very simple trick. He took two cards, an ace and like some black ace and some red king. And so it's very clearly different cards. And he takes a wine glass and he puts the red ace on the table. He puts the wine glass on top, and then he puts the black king on top. So you've got this red ace and thing. And even though it's in Spanish, everyone fully follows that top of the wine glass, black king, bottom of the wine glass, ace. And then he lifts up the king, turns the glass over, and then puts it back down. And everyone naturally goes, well, on the bottom was the ace. And now that's the ace. And now here's the king. And without any language at all, the movement of the glass tells the entire story. In the same way as the hands tell enough of the story to explain it. The glass tells the entire story in that trick.
Yeah. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, sort of like your props and your structure should be able to tell the entire story without anything else. It's like if you were to freeze any moment within, this is something that magicians often talk about, but if you were to freeze any moment within a trick or freeze any ending, and that was one freeze frame photo, what do the audience leave with? Do they see it as magic? Do they see it as fair? Do they see it as interesting? Or is it just a bloke in a spotlight?
Yeah.
And it's like, because a comedy show, if you freeze it, it's just a man with a mic or a woman with a mic. But if you're doing something that's meant to be spectacular, then in any one moment, there should be something interesting. There should be something interesting within the frame. It shouldn't just be plain and dull. You're trying to tell a story.
Yeah, so it's like you need to have something that sort of grounds the audience in and sort of gives them everything in one go without revealing too much, I suppose.
Yeah. A really good friend of mine, Neil Kelso, said something about when designing tricks, which is that from the beginning of the trick, if you think of it in terms of time, from the beginning to the end, you shouldn't know where it's going. There should be a complete surprise on the ending. It should be shocking. However, from the end to the beginning, it should look really obvious. You should be able to go, of course, that's where we were going. Of course, it was all going to build up to that moment. All the best twists have of course I should have thought about it. He mentioned that the husband wasn't doing this. There was mention of they're a smoker. Clearly, they're the details that become important. But you only notice that when you get to the end and you look back, because it should be laid well enough that it's covered. But still, by the end, you should get the full story. You should get the full picture.
How do you... Yeah. Go on.
No, sorry, you go on.
No, I was just asking, how do you ensure that you've got the attention of your audience in the beginning to then only sort of reveal the entire thing at the very end? Is that something that I've been struggling with as practicing storytelling?
Yes. I think that the length of the story compared to the amount of emphasis that is put on the points is probably sort of the key. In my show that I'm writing, I've got an hour long show is how I'm planning it. But I'm planning it with 6 segments, 6 pieces,
Yeah.
And 2 acts, 6 pieces. So 3 in each. And there will be every piece should add to the full story. Every piece should give this main idea, but each sort of relies somewhat on the rest. So that, like, my main message is to say that maths is fun, can be engaging and interesting. It's existed for millennia. It will continue to exist and be incredibly useful. And it's something that, even if you're not particularly good at it, you should be able to appreciate the quality and beauty and value in it. And the single 3-word message is maths is fun, I guess, that you can boil it down to that. So as a story, it's really quite simple. Maths is fun. It's all I want you to leave with. That idea, and for you to have had a moment that relates to maths that has made you go, oh God, or what, or shock, or anything. And so I've then got an hour to tell you this story. But if in that hour I go, so there was a guy, he was a mathematician, he did this and this and this. Then there was a guy that he did this and this and this. And then there was this. No one cares.
Yeah.
After the first 5 minutes, oh, he's just going to tell us interesting stories. Okay, so I can't have the energy level the same throughout. I've got to have, okay, so maths is this fascinating thing that has existed for millennia. The Greeks spoke about it. It's been on coins. It's involved in everything. Speaking of, let's do a thing with a coin. And then suddenly involve the whole audience. Get people involved in the story. Get this interaction going, this two-way connection. So to begin the show, I'm going to be doing something with a coin. And I won't use this one, but this is a fun one to help tell a story. And there's a coin that I got from the Da Vinci Museum in Venice, which in itself has got a fun little story in it. This no longer is just a piece of metal. Oh, well, it looks like I'm freezing. Is the signal going all right for you?
Seems to be fine on my end. Is it going for you?
Okay. Mine was lagging a bit, so I thought I'd just hold on.
Okay,
possibly the movement wasn't helping. So this inherently is a slightly interesting object because it's a weird old coin that's come from Venice, and it's got this natural story that people can relate to. Have I been to Venice? Have I done anything? Have I got any interesting coins? Suddenly there's a bit of a spark. So if I was doing it close up, I would start with something like that. If I'm doing it to the whole audience, which is the plan, I'll get everyone to stand up. And then I'm going to get people, I've dropped it, but hey ho. I will get people to decide. Do they want heads or tails? So touch their head or touch their tail. And then bit by bit, I toss the coin, we get the options, we rule out the audience until we're down to one person. And then I give them something, and it's got their name on it, and it's got all descriptors of them. And it's impossible of how do we reach that end? How I toss the coin bit by bit, and we've ended down on one person. And this letter describes that person perfectly. But the thing is in that, I've done some magic to keep them engaged. I've got them involved because they're like, oh, is it going to be me? Am I going to guess the heads right? Am I guess the tails right? Is it going to be? But I've still told a bit of a story. But then from there, now that we've done this engaging thing, I've got enough trust from the audience that they'll go out on a whim. They'll see what I've got next. They'll risk it, so we can say. Because from here, now I can play. Not fully, but I can play a bit more. I can lean into it. So Act 2, I start talking about a thing that once again is relatable. Pi, a number that everyone's heard of, everyone knows of, but most people don't have a clue what it actually means. So I then talk about this fun thing and how it impacted my life. And then from there, I want to make it more interesting and closer to heart. So I'm going to bring the audience down into a more vulnerable thing about being at school and a story that my teacher told me, and these natural stories, like we've already said earlier, stories of this thing that humanity is sort of shaped by. So why not tell a few stories? My maths teacher had some brilliant stories. he was telling us this story. He used to tell these amazing stories. He told us this one thing that I fully believed, which was that if you drop a piece of chalk, it'll always break into 3 pieces. It's mental. Nothing, no logic. Nothing says that must be true. Nothing in science says that must be true. Did it stop me from believing it for 5 years? No. I fully believe that was true. And it's one of those weird things. Does it matter if I believed it was true? Not really. Does it matter if I thought that actually was the way? No. If anything, it's quite good. It's quite fun to believe that is true. And so he then told other fun stories. He told the story about a bee. When he was out looking after his car, he was trying to tend to his car, and this bee had landed on the ground. As he said, bees don't sit down. Bees don't take a break. If they've sat down, they need water. And so he did what anyone should do, which is give them some water. And so he gave the bee some drink. The problem was all he had with him was Coke. And this was when Coke was doing their big push on Coke Zero and Diet Coke, and the sugar tax was coming in. And so he started telling us about how he's fully against the sugar tax and he wants classic Coke, proper British Coke, full fat red Coke. None of your no sugar rubbish. He wants full fat Coke. And so he said that's what he had with him at the time, a full fat Coke. And he poured out some for the bee, and the bee had some of this. And of course, I think the bee was shocked by the sheer amount of sugar that was in the Coke. So it flew up, hit him in the face, stung him in the face, promptly died, and that was the end of the bee. And I think it's such a brilliant story, and it's something that I want to tell in the show because it's just quite weird and wonderful. It's got all these quirks of character in it, but also it's got the fun of this weird sort of crescendo of this whole build-up of what's going to happen with the bee. And then its death isn't sad. Its death is sort of entertaining. But there's this vulnerability in telling these stories and risking the audience's trust of going, I'm going to take a minute and I'm just going to tell a story. There isn't going to be any magic in it. There isn't going to be anything particularly entertaining other than these words. I'm just going to risk it. And it's fun to do, but can only be done once you've built their trust that it's going to be worth their time.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something that Derren Brown, a phenomenal illusionist and probably the best that Britain has said and done, which is that most of his shows have a big opener. Everything's got this big, loud, powerful piece. He came on and he said, "Where's my shoe?" 3 boxes on stage. You had to figure out where his shoe was. What a brilliant, fun start. But on one of his shows, he starts and he just comes out and he sits there and he chats to the audience. And it's a really nice, slow moment. But it works because he's done shows previous. It works because it's his 5th or 6th show to the UK audience. And they trust him and they know that they are in for a good show. So they know that what he's going to say is going to be fine and worth it. He can be vulnerable with the audience because everyone's willing to listen.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of the key to storytelling is to build that rapport such that you can bring everyone in and you can tell this fascinating story about the ages. And Neil did it to me once. He sat me down and told me the story of the pizza bomber. Have you heard this? Do you know the pizza bomber?
No, I haven't.
You are in for a hell of a 3 hours. Netflix has the entire documentary, but I'll tell you the basics.
Okay.
More or less, there was a pizza. There was a bank, and there were standard bank tellers in it, and there were standard people in it, and that was it. Then one day, a bloke walks in with a walking stick, and he comes in with a walking stick, and he's got this T-shirt on that's all quite padded. And it's got a weird insignia on the front. I can't remember what was on the front. Maybe it was a phone number. Maybe it was just a weird detail. I can't remember which. But he comes in and it's all this quite padded T-shirt and he walks up to the desk and he demands money. And it turns out that the walking stick isn't a walking stick, but it's a gun that is shaped like a walking stick. And so he pulls it on the woman and says, this is a bank robbery. I want £100,000. And she goes, "Well, I'm terribly sorry, sir. I don't have £100,000. He says, no, you don't understand. Around my neck is a suicide collar, like a suicide bomb. If you don't give me the money, the bomb will explode and will kill everyone in here and me. And it is chained to me. I can't take it off. It is completely chained on. Give me the money." And she goes, well, I can give you all we've got, and gets together all the money that's in the bank and gives it to him. And he then walks out. And the last time he was seen before that moment, he was leaving the pizza company. He's a pizza delivery driver. He got a call saying, can you come to this address and deliver a pizza? He took the phone call. Yeah, fine. He went to the address, delivered the pizza. Next time he was seen was him walking into this bank with a bomb around his neck, demanding money.
Yeah.
He then went out into the car park, and the police by this point had chased him down and had chased him and got him to a car park and said, sir, can you surrender and take the bomb off? And he said, no, I can't. The bomb is chained around my neck. And within the matter of 5 to 10 minutes, it goes off. And police don't know who was behind it, what was happening, why. Why one day at 3:00 was he a pizza delivery driver, and the next minute he's robbing a bank at bomb point? And it is the most weird and fascinating murder, true crime styled thing that America has ever produced. And of course it's America. Of course they've got this crazy weird story. However, that does not take away from the story element of it. How insane that 1 minute you're a pizza delivery guy and next minute you've got a bomb clamped to your neck. What?
So, wow.
How mental. And the full story is on Netflix. There's 3 to 5 episodes, I think. And I don't think they fully solved the case to this day. They've got some pretty good ideas, but yeah, absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So it seems to me, it's like, one of the things is the crescendo. That the story is building up to something, and that there's going to be a release of attention at the end. Yeah. The other thing is quirks, like to say to introduce things that make you feel like the story is personal to someone else, and you're sort of trying to you're getting to know a person or their traits in a manner that is palatable. And the third thing is that, the third, probably the most, is that you build trust with the audience whilst doing both of these things. You're telling them something about someone. You're telling a story. You're telling them about not a day in someone's life, but something similar to, oh, look, this is what they're like. Like, this is how they behave. Yeah. This is like one of their idiosyncrasies. And you're sort of building a rapport with the crowd, with the audience. It's really fascinating.
It's in a way it's similar to what comedians do. They build this rapport and trust with the audience while being really blunt and honest with how they are, while also making you like them and endear to them and want to hear their stories. Some of the best comedy is just a long story. Yeah. But to get to the long story, you need to know that they're not taking the mick out of anyone they're talking about. They're not actually attacking anyone and meaning their jokes. They're not actually doing X, Y, and Z. And a lot of that can be done through good comedy. Like you can say lines like I saw an estate agent last week who, when we were viewing a property, she was making a point of saying, so the way I would tell the story is saying, look, come on, I'm not saying it's difficult to be an estate agent, but I do feel like you just repeat what they say. Because I said to her, she said, are there any things that are non-negotiable that you must have in the property? And I said, well, I'd quite like windows. I'm not a bit of a hard taskmaster, but a window would do a world of good. I said, and if I can have a bit of space in the room, I'd love that too. And then, of course, when we viewed the property, she said, well, as you can see, lovely, spacious room. It's got 4 beautiful windows in here. Whether she meant to or whether she didn't mean to, she proceeded to just tell me what I told her. And I found it quite entertaining. But instead of me sounding like a dick, instead of me sounding like I'm saying, look at her, she's just repeating exactly what I'm saying, there's a comedic way of portraying it by going, oh, look at this. There's lovely big windows. You're going to get lots of light in here. It's beautifully spacious. And so, well, clearly I'm not meaning this seriously, but Also, you've got to agree, she has just repeated what I've said. And the crescendo to that story was, she said, oh, it's lovely. I think it's really nice having this property. It's over split levels. There's 5 steps in between. So, it's really nice set of stairs to get your way up and over. And I said, oh, it's really lovely when you've got to get a 3-piece suite and a mattress up round them stairs. No, it is lovely. Because how the bloody hell are you meant to get a 3-piece suite up split levels and stairs? But it's got that ridiculousness, that craziness of going, yes, it's comedic. Yes, it's stretching it. And of course, there's going to be an easier way. Of course, you don't really have to do that. However, you can take comedy in the thing that's said to build trust with the people, to go, look, I'm just like you. Like, we both agree that would be horrendously difficult. I agree with you that sounds stupid. But I'm not saying it is stupid, but we agree that we think alike on that. And you're building trust by saying we're similar. There's this pattern between you and I that we both have it. And it's building that. It's building that reminder that, no, we're the same. I just happen to be stood on stage.
Yeah. Wow. I never really viewed it that way. That's fascinating.
Yeah, it's quite fascinating, the sheer depth I find that's involved with some of this stuff. Because being a close-up magician for 10, 13 years, you naturally grow some of these talents, but you don't actually understand what's involved or why it works until you sit there and analyze it, and you look and you go, well, why did I say that then? Why did I do this? My friend said a thing. Let me see if I can demonstrate. Hopefully I can. There was a time he was doing this was suffice. Perfect. He was doing a trick. Which involved the audience member to put a card back in a certain place. And usually you can motivate that just by saying, oh, chuck it back there. Cheers. Move on. And it's an offbeat moment. It's can you just chuck that? Yeah, perfect. No one cares. And so long as at this moment I look pretty safe and I look like I don't care about these anymore, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Except this person instead was, and clearly the way not to do it is put the card back. Yep, perfect. Because you can feel the tension. You can feel in my shoulders I'm tense and rigid and holding this.
Yeah.
Instead of just going, yeah, chuck it back. Yeah, perfect. Even in the wording, put the card back versus, yeah, chuck it back in. Yeah. Chuck it back. It sounds like just throw it in. Throw it in anywhere. I don't mind. I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm not even looking. Throw it back in. Yeah, perfect. These little details that make it go from, yeah, I don't care, to put the card back in. This you can clearly see.
Yeah, it seems like you're scheming something, and it's not. It's giving off the vibe.
That is like I don't care.
I don't care. You don't care.
Even though I'm clearly saying put it here.
Yeah.
In that versus.
Yeah, and you're just sort of nudging them towards doing that.
Which is the opposite. So here was an example of using comedy. So my friend wanted the card, let's say, to be placed there. And instead, they took it and they went, no, I want to put it here. And instead of now having a difficult moment to deal with, instead of going, well, how the hell am I going to get from here to here without anyone noticing? My mate literally went, well, or you could put it here like a normal person, but you didn't. And suddenly invokes humour. And the friends who are around go, it's a good point. Like, why do you have to do that? Why do you have to be awkward? And suddenly no one cares where the card's gone.
Yeah.
No one cares that he's gone, look, well, you could have put it there. Brilliant. I've literally taken it out and moved it to where I want it. But because I've said a line where I've gone, you could have been awkward. No one cares. And it's not even going, well, you've been really difficult. I'm now going to have to do this. You've just done the opposite. You've gone, thank God you weren't awkward. And you've got this humour into it that suddenly no one cares about what you've done.
So it's basically about being effortless and you sort of not being too fussy about it. And sort of not giving the impression that you need something from them. and you'll do it yourself. But it's fine either way.
Yeah, which is kind of, if you think about it, with any sport or anything, I'm sure you're like me. You've seen the Olympics, you've watched it and gone, looks quite easy. I can have a go at that. I bet. What? Doing a triple somersault on the diving board into the water? Surely it's doable. Like, you're 10 meters up. Surely you could just... Surely. But... in the same sense, you're like, yeah, I know it's going to be difficult, but they make it look effortless.
Yeah.
They make it look so trivial because there's no tension. There's no, here we go. Oh, God, how are we going to do it? They're just like, here we go. Do-ba-do-ba. And it just happens. And they're just so flowing that you think, well, Christ, surely is it really that easy? Is it really that effortless? And so you assume that either, yeah, it is really that easy, or Christ, I've missed it already. I've missed, like with acrobats, you know that they've put in years and years of effort and learning. With a magician, for example, you're just going to have to go, okay, well, maybe it was just effortless. It looks like he just spread them and then put them down. He must have just spread them and put them down. I couldn't see the skill. It's weird because it's the one hobby where I train for hours to not be seen.
Yeah.
A runner trains for hours to be seen running as fast as they can. I train for hours so that you don't know how difficult it was. Because there's a thing I'm learning at the moment, which, God almighty, is it difficult. I'll show you the basic. More or less, if I can hit it, there you go, that's it. So take a card, shoot it spinning up in the air and catch it. Now that looked fairly straightforward because I hit it on the first go. But you've not seen the 4 or 5 days worth of me shooting cards everywhere across this room. But in the same way of in magic, you're not meant to see it.
Yeah. Wow.
You're not meant to see the move, the weird thing.
That's so fascinating. That's such a very different stance from what I experienced in college and in my postgrad. I mean, people are dying and just competing to be seen. You know, I've got to publish this research paper so that I get noticed by this PI of this research lab. And whereas in magic, you're just trying to be, that didn't happen. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you're just going.
The best magic's nonchalant. It's sort of just unexpected. It's all out of the blue. What was that? Like it's the random, weird, stupid stuff that you're like, sorry, what happened? What was that? Like, it's enough to make you question something and be weird. It's in the same way as why really good science demonstrations work, because you watch your teacher walk to the front of the room, put some bubbles in their hand, and then set fire to everything. And you go, what did I just see? and suddenly everyone remembers it because you've done this really cool science practical. Well, of course they remember it. You set fire to the room. But in the same way with other subjects, we don't do that practical. But with maths, let's say, you could do that. You could show how I can hack into something. You could show how statistically I'm more likely to win in a game, that we're playing a game and that I'm always going to win. It's shocking in the same way. It's got this weirdness. And if you're playing a game against someone, you don't want them to think you're good because they're going to not be impressed and they're not going to want to play. So you need to be as offhanded and as nonchalant with it as you can. And it's got similarities there of this playful nature, which I think there's a lot to be learned in combining these fields and these things.
Yeah, no, I quite agree. I think it's playfulness creates the most connection. I mean, even the things that you were talking about. I mean, the core sort of tenet is playfulness, where the audience gets to interact with you in a way that is sort of, invoking feelings of wonder. And it's like, okay, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this guy's doing. He seems pretty confident about what he's doing. So let's just trust him. So you build that trust, and then you give them that crescendo and sort of unexpected surprise. And
you say, look, I'm going to take an hour of your time, but it'll be worth it. Yeah. Trust me. And then you just sort of gradually take them through this show or these experiments or these ideas. You're meant to sort of be guiding them as much as you're less showing them things. You're guiding them through things. I think the best person who's ever described it in terms of you said something a minute ago about sort of the wonder and the surprise and leaving them not knowing what's going to happen next was Gene Wilder in his brilliant Charlie and the Chocolate Factory performance.
Yeah.
Do you know of it?
Yes, I do.
The classic thing of where he does the roly-poly at the beginning. He walks out like a frail old man, and then he jumps into a forward somersault, and then comes out of the house as Willy Wonka. And everyone's shocked because, as he says, the audiences never know what to expect from then on. Is he saying what he's saying, and is he being correct? Is he lying? Is he mucking about with you? What is he doing? We'll never know. We'll have to just wait and see. And I think that's part of the reason. Sorry to go off tangent, but it's part of the reason I don't like watching film trailers before I see the film. I trust that it'll be good enough. I trust that they've thought about it and planned it. So I'm just like this morning I went to see The Odyssey.
Yeah.
I went to see Christopher Nolan's new film. But I've not seen a single trailer for that, and I've tried not even to see a poster. Because I specifically don't want to know anything. I don't need him to show, here are some flashy images from it. Here's proof that I do films. No, I know that. You've done other films. I love them. I want to just walk in and you just to guide me through this old story, which he does masterfully. If you've not seen it yet, I absolutely loved it. But it's that same way of you just let a storyteller guide you through it, and they hold your hand through this tale, and you come out at the other end sort of being having explored all these new things, and you've got to see all of this experience.
Yeah. So the question that's rising for me is because I'm so detached from the kind of world that you're describing. I'm fascinated and really sort of admire and sort of irreverent to it in some senses is that it's such a rich world. Did you ever find a problem going from academia or rather going through the academic system in which things are quite the opposite? Things are not, they're not based on trust. They're not based on wonder. They're based in logic and they're based on things that are very constrictive and restrictive. So did you ever face that, like going through that system and sort of not losing touch with it?
Well, it's quite weird because I started magic when I was at school. So when I was about probably about 12. So it must have been just started secondary school, and I got into magic. And I feel like it was one thing that really helped. Partly I had a weird school experience, so I didn't have that many teachers in front of me to begin with, so I could sort of muck about to some degree. But it gave me this sense of nothing's too serious. Yeah. Nothing really is set in stone. As much as people try and say, you must do this, you must do that. I'm like, do you have to? Come on, I'm sure we can. I remember one of my teachers said a line, which is, Sam, what are you up to? Because I'd left lesson. I was just wandering about school grounds, just piece of paper in my hand, wandering about, blank piece of paper, nothing on it. But if people see you walking about with a bit of paper and you're one of the usually studious students, they go, oh, he must be busy. He must be doing something. And I was like, oh, just going for a walk, miss. And she was like, oh yeah, creative truancy, is it? I was like, yeah, like I was genuinely out of lesson when I shouldn't have been. Did anyone care? No, they fully believed that I had good reason because I've built up this sort of this story that I'll always do the right thing. It'll be fine. And so I think it really helped me to go, don't take it too seriously. Just take everything with a pinch of salt and just sort of, you can semi laugh your way through things. because then obviously when getting further into college was a brilliant time where it's meeting lots of new people. And because I always had a pack of cards and because I always did magic, I was just performing daily to people. And that's when I was learning a lot of good stuff that I still use to this day. And also we were then playing cards. We were playing games. We played poker almost every day of the week. We played Go. We played Cheat. We played Fish. Cheat is such a brilliant game. But if you're already quite happy to cheat things slightly, playing Cheat when you're happy to sort of switch cards and steal stuff and ditch things in places makes it even more fun. And so that made it quite fun. And then I feel like at uni, it did change the experience slightly because, as you say, uni or academia can be very rigid. So it was more rigid. It did have more structure, but I think it helped me in terms of like a light at the end of the tunnel kind of situation. It told me that, yes, okay, this is very logic, rigorous. This is very structured. However, we can get through it. And worse comes, we've got this whole other world we can join. And also, worse comes, there's things I know and can contribute that other people don't. That I've got this sort of access into this world that gives me a different look on life and the world. And so in terms of teaching, it's been a brilliant thing because the students find it fascinating that I do magic, that I do photography, that I do this sort of weird, rich world of hobbies. Because they're like, well, yeah, I want my teachers to do magic. Yeah, of course I want to see a magic trick. What, we're learning probability? Oh, today, yeah, he thought we were doing this fun experiment. We just got out loads of dice and we rolled it 1,000 times. We wrote down our results. It's not really that fun. And they go, oh no, Mr. Tomlin, we did magic tricks all lesson. Yeah, that was our lesson because probability in cards, it's one and the same thing. At the end of the day, if I'm going to do a magic trick about what's the chance you pick a card, what's the chance that once we've shuffled, you pick the same card? Oh, we did. Okay, that's weird. Surely that's impossible. Well, it's not impossible. It's just improbable. What if we do it again? Is that now impossible? And now we're doing this magic trick, which is basically just probability. But suddenly now the kids are fascinated because they want to see this wondrous thing, which has twisted what they see of school, what they see of learning, what they see of maths. Maths is dull and straightforward and logical. Well, not necessarily. That's one way to view it. And so I've always seen it as a really useful thing to help improve and butt up against the scenario, as opposed to the opposite, which is it's dulled down that in me. I've always tried to force the humour and force the wonder in every situation. Because like the game of life that I showed you earlier, I think that is one of the most incredible things that we've sort of found. And I say that because the sheer amount of stuff I have read that Stephen Hawking has written, that other phenomenal scientists have written, that Demis Hassabis has spoken about, that all talk about the end of the world, AI, life on Earth, how we got here. And at any one of those points, they all go, there's this amazing game called The Game of Life that was created by John Conway. And I go, isn't that fascinating? This weird little game is being spoken about by some of the best scientists and mathematicians on planet Earth. How fascinating, how weird, how important it is to play and to wonder and to go, hang on, let's take this from just a fun problems approach. Why is that there? Why is these weird little colors and lights showing me that we can create a self-replicating structure? Isn't this fascinating? Because even at a base level, if I don't understand any of the maths, but I just watch a video, and I implore you, have a look for Gemini Game of Life. So look for YouTube Gemini Game of Life. You'll find a video where the music in the video was created by taking a Game of Life simulation and somehow formulating it into music. And so the music is this really weird, ominous thing. But what you're watching is this it's sort of this structure, massive blobs with this wire connecting them. and it self-replicates. It destroys itself and it self-replicates, and it destroys itself and it self-replicates. It basically does what humans do in terms of mitosis and growth.
Yeah.
Which is incredible in itself. But you're watching this video of these just lights lighting up, which has created the sound and the light and is self-replicating. How ominous and weird and wonderful. Irrelevant of the implications. How mental is that? And I think it's taken my approach to all of this structural hard logic and gone, we should look at it through the eyes of this is insane. Because at the end of the day, we've gone through the world from the ancient Greeks onward, not knowing, from assuming that there is something that pushes the waves, that controls the skies, that Zeus and Poseidon control all of these elements. To now we're in this point of view where we don't believe in any of that, and we believe that it must be science. But still, to discover new science, we still need to wonder.
Yeah.
We need to wonder what could be out there. We still need to have that magic, that belief. I think there's no harm in believing that magic exists and that these things are real. So long as it's a small degree, I think it's a very sensible, healthy belief.
Yeah. I mean, to sort of not take things for granted, like that we might not know everything, and to sort of, it's like that thing where you sort of believe that magic can still exist. Oh, this reminds me of a quote by Arthur C. Clarke. He said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, and any technology that isn't indistinguishable from magic isn't sufficiently advanced." And it's just like you sort of give yourself the permission to be able to fantasize something that that doesn't exist right now, and to sort of believe in that feeling. So, that's
my favorite thing along that line is if you ask a lay person, a person on the street, a random person who doesn't know the world of magic, I give you a chair and I say, can you please levitate it, make it float? They'll go, it's impossible. No, you can't. But if you ask a magician, they'll go, okay, we'll see what we can do. We'll have a go. And it's that accepting the possibility and accepting that, well, is it really impossible? Or is it just quite hard to do, quite unlikely? Does it feel impossible? And so my favorite example of that is I was discussing a part of the show where I wanted to do something with quantum theory. And ideally, I wanted to show the idea of being in two places at once. So I wanted to have a box on stage, me get in the box, me completely vanish from that box and the box to fall apart, and me to appear at the back of the auditorium without any other people walking about on stage, without anything awkward and chaotic. And it to look as clean as that I'm in two places at once. And most people, of course, will go, well, completely impossible. That's never going to happen. Instead, I told my best mate, who is a magician, and his response was, we could, but it would be a lot of faff. And I love that his response isn't, it's impossible. It's, well, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be hard to do, but we could have a go. And it's that accepting that it's not impossible. Well, we could definitely make you disappear and reappear somewhere else. That's not the issue. It's just going to be a lot of effort. I don't really care for that at the moment. I haven't got time. Like, that's how we've approached it. I think that's such a fun, brilliant way. Because it's, do we really have to? I've not had lunch yet. Like, as if that's the issue. It's not that being in two places at once is physically impossible for a human being. It's just that it's going to take him too much energy and he can't be bothered. Like, how brilliant. Because at the end of the day, that's how everything has been discovered. And going back to what you said about Arthur C. Clarke, there is a thing that magicians have known about for, God, how long? Oh, let me just do a quick Google search. Minimum 13 years. So magicians have known about this thing for a minimum of 13 years. And magicians have used it to great effect to pull off some brilliant stunts and brilliant bits of magic. Last week, it was released to the public for the first time in the way of a thing to stop AI. So there's this new font that has been released. Supposedly, AI robots will be able to read the font, and they will read one thing, and humans will be able to look at it and read another. And it's like this hidden text idea. It's a thing that magicians have used for the last 13 years. Any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. No one's known that it's not magic. Only recently has it been used in the public eye. But even then, most of the public won't know about it. I only know about it because now it's been released, so I know the power of it as a thing. It's quite amazing how much overlap there is between these things.
Yeah.
I won't go too much into the possibilities with it because that's where the fun is, that magicians are gatekeeping. We're not keeping you away from the secret. We're keeping the wonder safe. We're letting you enjoy the moment so that you don't ruin it for yourself, basically.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is. It's a very fun thing.
Yeah. I think we've reached the end of the podcast. Is it okay if I stop recording? Would you like to say something more?
No. I think it is.
So I'm just going to stop recording.
I think we've reached a very nice ending.
Yeah. So I'm just going to stop the recording now. There you go.
Okay.